Tonight on College Press Box, we look at the men's basketball team versus the Baylor Bears, as well as the women's basketball team against Baylor. We also take a look at the Lions football game. Look at that hit. Wow.
Games left and it's wide open for the taking, so I just want to take advantage of all these games.
All this and more coming up on College Press Box. Hey y'all, welcome to TSTV's College Press Box. I'm Emily Stone, joined by Bailey Abramowitz, and we are going to jump right into Texas men's basketball's victorious week.
On Wednesday, Texas men's basketball played the Baylor Bears. Let's head down to the drum for the highlights. Texas entered the game against Baylor 4-5 in conference play. Dylan Osikowski to Courtney Ramey, then Matt Coleman 4 of 3 to start things off, and Kerwin Roach drives for a layup, and he is good. Baylor senior Mark Vital for the jumper, and Ramey drives for a jumper and one. Courtney Ramey once again, but it's no good, and Jackson Hayes is there for the tip-in. Texas is up 30-22. Kerwin Roach goes up against Baylor's Flo Thamba for the 3, and it's good. And Baylor's Mario Klegler for a slam dunk to try and keep it close, but they miss, and it's rebounded by Matt Coleman with a fast break who makes the layup. Flo Thamba takes it for a slam dunk as Texas calls a timeout. And Jackson Hayes on another dunk, and Texas ends the game 84-72.
TSTV's Clark Dalton was down at the gym for the matchup against the Baylor Bears. Let's head over there to check it out.
In the middle of the season, the Texas Longhorns were struggling to find their identity. On Wednesday night against the Baylor Bears, the Horns sought to end this roller coaster ride with a victory that could save their tournament chances and another year from broken promise. Guards Kerwin Roach and Matt Coleman set the stage for a statement win by scoring 39 points combined.
We was very well aware of the conference standings, and that was on a 6-game winning streak. The last 2 games they won by like 50 plus. They blew out TCU and blew out somebody else. But you know, we just came in there and we just sat down on us to just draw the line in the sand, and you just got to stand up, and we just played our best basketball today.
Their collective performance electrified the offense as the Longhorns shot 61% from the field in the first half, building a 15-point lead by halftime. Baylor tried to claw back, but each jab was rendered by a Texas counter.
Obviously made the run in the second half, and they played with just nothing to lose and great aggressiveness. But I thought our guys responded really well. You know, key for us with this group and all year is just you know, recovering from something if it doesn't go your way.
The 84-72 win not only improved Texas' standing in the Big 12, it showcased the resilience of a team that had been cast aside as a pretender.
Games like this serve as a turning point in the season, where a team begins to scratch the surface of their potential, fulfilling their ultimate greatness.
If the Longhorns continue to feed off this performance, the remainder of the conference could be in store for a surprise.
You know, we got 8 games left and it's wide open for the taking, so I just want to take advantage of all these games.
As of right now, one fact is clear. Don't write this team off, because pressure occasionally forges a diamond in the rough. From Frank Irwin Center, I'm Clark Dalton, TSTV Sports.
We now welcome basketball analyst Steve Helwick and Henry Corwin to the studio. Guys, do these wins show a shift for Texas basketball going into the rest of the season?
I am starting to see a shift. Even though West Virginia is not the quality team that they always are and they have a losing record, Texas won a road game, and that's absolutely huge. Just as a team that hasn't won a road game since January 2nd, hadn't had consecutive wins since the first week of 2019. They finally go into Morgantown, exercise their demons from last year where they lost by 30 points, and win by over 20. It's their biggest conference win of the season, and they've won 3 out of 4 now, beating quality opponents in Kansas and Baylor in the process. I'm definitely seeing a turn in the corner for Texas right now, even if West Virginia is not the best opponent.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to disagree with Steve a little bit because you have to look at the teams they've beaten. And if we're just talking about these 2 games, I don't really see a shift because they beat a 6-4 Baylor team, which is okay, and then they beat a 2-9 West Virginia team. But I haven't really seen much of a change in the way they've played. The shooting's been relatively similar, and they did cut down on their turnovers, and their defense did look better, but that's going to happen when you're up against teams that aren't as strong as some of the other opponents in the Big 12. So if they're going to continue to play well. I know they had the win against Kansas, but they're going to have to show more consistent performances against ranked opponents to really shift the gear.
All right, Steve, Henry, what were y'all's takeaways from the games against both Baylor and West Virginia?
I think Shaka Smart put it together best. He said, when our guards outplay the other team's guards, we win, and that's what we saw each of the last 2 games. Against Baylor, we saw Kerwin Roach and Matt Coleman both have stellar games offensively and defensively, and they won. Against West Virginia, Courtney Ramey comes out. He scores 19 points, hits 5 of 6 threes. The guards are looking very good right now. As long as they're stepping up and playing well on both sides of the ball, Texas is going to sustain some success.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. Obviously, their identity has looked like it's their three-point shooting. They've shot between 39 and 40% from 3 in the last 2 games, and additionally, they cut down the turnovers. So when they're able to do these things, like defense, as Shaka Smart alluded to, cutting down the turnovers and playing within their identity, which has been using their big men to their advantage, but also playing kind of inside out and shooting the 3, then they can continue to do well. But like I said before, they have to still do it against some better teams.
All right, guys, and what are y'all's predictions for the rest of the season?
Well, they only have 2 ranked teams left on the schedule. All the Kansas is behind them. Tournament seems like a given at this point, considering they're 14-10. Last year they made it at 19-14 heading into the tournament. They have a lottery pick in Jackson Hayes, which will definitely help their status. And I see at least 4 winnable games left on the schedule where they can get to that 18th win before Big 12 conference tournament starts. So this is definitely a team that's tournament bound. I'm saying in the 8 to 10 seed range.
Yeah, I do agree with Steve on that. I predict they're going to go 4-3 over their last 7 games, which will get them to 18-13 for the regular season, going to the Big 12 tournament. And from there, I do believe they will make the tournament and go home in the first round again.
All right, Steve and Henry, thanks for joining us tonight in the studio. And when we come back, we will head over back to the drum to take a look at women's basketball. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to College Press Box. Thanks for sticking with us. Women's basketball took on the #1 Baylor Bears in Austin. Let's head down to the drum for the highlights. Women's basketball enters the drum ready to take on the #1 ranked Baylor Bears all the way here from Waco. Danny Williams starts off with a step-back three-pointer, followed shortly by Joyner Holmes with her own three-pointer, but Baylor did not like the excitement from the Longhorns, and Dee Richards with a fast layup. And Sug Sutton goes in and is blocked by Dee Richards, who comes back with a mid-range shot. Texas's Danny Williams comes back ready for a corner 3 and drains it. And Moon Urson with her own corner 3 for the Bears. Halftime, Texas is down by 7. Baylor with an and-one layup. And Kalani Brown comes back with a layup. Lots of layups from Baylor with a putback layup. And Danny Williams with another step back 3, and Joyner Holmes responds with a layup. Danny Williams back with the ball with a step back and another layup. And Baylor's Kalani Brown makes a hook shot, and #1 Baylor beats #14 Texas 74-68.
Thomas Fitch was at the drum as women's basketball took on the Baylor Bears.
On Monday, the 14th-ranked Texas Longhorns faced off against the #1 ranked Baylor Bears in Austin, trying to close the gap for first place in the Big 12. Instead, they got off to a sloppy start that would eventually cost them the game.
When we take a look back at this on film, we'll recognize some real particular moments in the game that we're going to wish we had back. We were a little careless, and I think we'll look at those turnovers in which we could have had a few of those possessions back in the first.
The Horns committed 12 of their 14 turnovers in the first half, but shot well enough from deep to keep them in the game.
Now, the one area that I had not seen Texas do that they did tonight is what? They shot the 3 ball. They've only averaged right at 4 threes a game, and they make 9. But the truth of the matter, it was Danny and Shug's 3 balls that I thought were big for them tonight.
While it was an impressive night for the Horns from beyond the arc, shooting nearly 53%, they were outmatched on the inside, being out-rebounded 41-28 by the Bears.
We're a better rebounding team than we showed tonight. We stood around a little bit too much. I mean, 4 offensive rebounds is that's not normal for us, or is it good enough and competitive enough against these guys?
The Horns came up short, but not without a fight, as they outscored the Bears 28-13 in the final quarter of play.
We have heart, and we're not going to give up. Nobody gave up. Everybody gave 100% all they had. Even though we had some lapses in the game, everybody stayed together and as a team. So, you know, that's a big step for us.
Coach Aston feels the same way, hoping the fourth quarter charge will give the team momentum for the rest of the season.
You know, you're never rewarded when you lose. There's really a bottom line to that. But I do think that they need to hear something really positive from me and from each other, and that there were some really good things in this game.
The Longhorns will face off against the Bears in 3 weeks, but for now, Coach Aston is just focused on her own team.
We have to keep getting better. We got to worry about Texas right now, and how can we try to peak at the right time. So I think we'll take some good things out of this game.
From the Frank Irwin Center, I'm Thomas Fitch, TSTV Sports.
After a tough loss to Baylor, the Horns were looking to gain some momentum on Saturday in Lawrence. They were off to an early start and began the game with an impressive 15-0 run, while Kansas missed their first 12 shots. Junior Joyner Holmes tied her career high of 22 points with 6 rebounds. Danny Williams scored 14 points with 3 threes, and Charlie Collier scored 14 points and was 10 for 10 from the free throw line. The Horns beat Kansas 91-73 and are now 9-3 in conference play. We now welcome in our women's basketball analyst, Sean Mapes. Great to have you on tonight.
Good to be here.
As we just saw, Texas was not able to defeat the Baylor Bears. So what exactly went wrong for this team?
So first things first, that third quarter, you saw it there. Baylor went on a run there that Texas just wasn't able to come back from. They outscored them by 17 in one quarter. You're not going to be able to, especially against the #1 team in the nation like Baylor is. And then Baylor also, their bench outscored Texas 24-6, and they won the rebound battle 41-28, shot 12 more free throws. They're really just the more aggressive, more physical team. That's really the big difference in this game. Karen Aston said with a team like Baylor, you kind of have to pick your poison. Either the forwards are going to light you up or the guards are going to light you up. You can't shut down everyone on this team. Texas did respond with a nice fourth quarter of their own to kind of make the score a little bit closer. It was only a 6-point loss, but really that third quarter is where everything fell apart. They're even with them the entire rest of the game.
So like you said, they had a great fourth quarter rally, but it wasn't enough, but it did keep the game close. So does that prove anything about this team?
Yeah, definitely that fourth quarter, it showed that Texas can hang with the top tier programs, but doesn't quite have enough to show to take them out. And we already saw that with last year's team, and even this early in the season, lost to Tennessee, lost to Mississippi State. Really teams that are Elite 8, Final Four caliber teams. And obviously when you lose guard LaShawn Higgins early in the season, that lowered the expectation, lowered the ceiling of what this team can be. So honestly, just to get to this point where they're not that much worse of a team than they were last year, even with the injury, that's just a great job by Karen Aston.
Since the beginning of the season and even in the past few seasons, Texas is frequently ranked between the top 10 and the top 15. So looking ahead to more conference play and the tournament, what can you expect for the Longhorns?
I see a team that's solidly the second best in their conference. They're right there in the Big 12 conference race. They're not going to catch up to Baylor. No one is. But I think they have enough to fight off Iowa State. They have a tough stretch at the end of the month. They go to Waco to play Baylor. That's looking like it's a loss. Not a lot of teams win in Baylor. And then you finish up that weekend, you play Iowa State at home. That's a more winnable game. They already beat Iowa State in Ames early in the season. So, and then the rest of the games are winnable. Basically, any game on Texas' schedule is winnable unless it's against Baylor or a top 10 ranked team. So I think that's kind of where this team is going to end up. I'm thinking a Sweet 16 kind of year. It really depends on whether they can lock down home court advantage in the first round of the NCAA tournament. They have to be a top 16 team, so a 4 seed in their bracket. To get that, it's not looking great. They're a little bit low on RPI. but that's kind of the goal for this team moving forward.
Thanks so much, Sean. When we come back, Matt Marinchak will be talking all about the new football league that started this Saturday, the Alliance of American Football. We'll be right back.
Hi, welcome back to College Press Box. This year, football is not over after Super Bowl. Instead, it will be over in April because of the brand new league called the Alliance of American Football. The AAF is basically a second chance for players who failed in the NFL to prove they still got it. The AAF opened up its inaugural season with the San Antonio Commanders taking on the San Diego Fleet and the Orlando Apollos taking on the Atlanta Legends. Let's cut to the Alamo Dome for highlights of San Diego Fleet versus San Antonio Commanders. Mike Burkovi deep pass to Dantes Ford. Looks like he's going for 32 yards and a first down. Burkovi again takes a snap, drops back, gets clobbered by Sean Washington. He fumbles the ball but is recovered by San Diego. Here comes Logan Whiteside for San Antonio. He launched a deep pass to Greg Ward Jr. for 37 yards and a first. That leads former Longhorn kicker Nick Rose to kick a 28-yard field goal to put San Antonio Fleet up 3-0. Burkovi goes for the end zone this pass, but it's picked off by Orion Stewart. Stewart brings it back. He's trying to make it go back for the pick six. Is he gonna let's see if he can get there. It's going. Only makes 68 yards. San Antonio still up 3-0. San Antonio's on the goal line. Hands it off to Kenneth Farrow. San Antonio now is going to lead 12-6. Fourth quarter, last chance. Backup quarterback Philip Nelson's in. Throws a Hail Mary, but it's deflected by the Commanders. Commanders win 15-6. Game over. Now let's cut to Spectrum Stadium for highlights of Atlanta Legends versus Orlando Apollos. Atlanta comes in all hyped up. They drive down the field to go for a 38-yard field goal. Goes right through the middle, 3-0 Atlanta. Former Longhorn quarterback Garrett Gilbert throws a laser to Jalen Marshall for the end zone. It's called incomplete, but it's overturned for a touchdown. Orlando up 8-3. Up 5, Davion Smith runs in 1 yard for the touchdown. Atlanta's offense would stall a few more times. Orlando's in the 10-yard line again. Hands it off to Jalen Marshall. Philly special to Garrett Gilbert for the touchdown. Gilbert has more time to pass it. Throws it to wide open Dearness Johnson for the touchdown. Apollo's up 33-6. Celebrates in the end of the game. Gilbert kneels it. Apollos win 40-6. With high-scoring games and big plays of both offense and defense, the first weekend of the AAF was already more exciting than the Super Bowl. The AAF has proven that the football void between February and August will be filled with more highly competitive football that fans will enjoy. Let's bring it back to Emily and Bailey as they go over this week in Longhorn sports.
This is far.
Welcome back to College Press Box. Thanks for sticking with us. Last week, the Longhorns track and field team traveled to both Seattle, Washington, and Lubbock, Texas for the Husky Classic and the Texas Tech Shootout. The weekend ended with 5 wins and 23 personal bests for the Longhorns. Highlights of the week included Sam Worley breaking his own school record in the mile, becoming the first Longhorn to break 3:58 in the mile after running a 3:57.98 mile. Alex Rogers also broke her school record in the 3,000 meter, running a 7:51.11 and clinching the number 5 spot in the NCAA this season.
Number 6 women's tennis competed at the ITA National Team Indoor Championships in Seattle this weekend. Against number 12 Northwestern, juniors Anna Tarati, Bianca Tarati, and Bojana Markovic each won their singles match in 2 sets. Sophomore Fernanda Labrania won in 3 sets for a Longhorn win of 4-0. After their win, Texas advanced to the quarterfinals where they played number 1 Stanford. Junior Anna Tarati, senior Katie Paluda, and freshman Tiana Sasbojevic won their singles matches, but it was not enough, and they fell to a loss of 4-3 at the end of the tournament.
Number 6 men's tennis traveled to Fayetteville, Arkansas to take on the Razorbacks and left with a 6-1 victory. Senior Colin Marks and Harrison Scott led the Longhorns in the singles matches, Marks hitting Texas on the board with a 6-4, 6-2 victory, while Scott took away a 6-2, 6-4 victory. Junior Yuya Aito secured the team victory with a 6-3, 6-2 singles win. The Longhorns clinched the doubles points led by Scott and Christian Skarsgård with a 6-2 win.
Texas softball started off their season on Saturday at the Red and Charlie McCombs Field against Boston College, Boise State, and Northwestern State. In their first 2 games against Boston College and Boise State, Texas was up 8-0 early on, and the games each only lasted 5 innings. To end their perfect day, Texas defeated Northwestern State 7-2. On Sunday, they defeated Boston College once again, this time 9-1. Miranda Ellish and Brooke Bollinger pitched during the majority of the weekend, with runs from Janae Jefferson, Shannon Rhodes, and Reagan Hathaway. Softball plays again on Thursday against UC Berkeley in Florida.
And coming up this week in Longhorn sports, women's basketball takes on Oklahoma State at 7 p.m. and men's basketball versus Kansas State at 8 p.m. on ESPN3. Thursday, softball at St. Pete's Clearwater Ellis Invitational this Sunday. Friday, baseball at Louisiana Lafayette at 6:30 through Sunday. Saturday, men's basketball versus Oklahoma State, and Sunday, women's basketball versus Kansas State at 4 p.m. on Fox Sports Network.
Thanks so much for joining us this evening on College Press Box. Don't forget to watch our sister show, College Crossfire, on Wednesday with host Jonathan Polasic. From everyone in the studio and Master Control, I'm Bailey Wald with Emily Stone. Have a great evening.